I head the customer success for Infobip. And before I go ahead, I just wanted to touch upon a couple of things. As we spoke about a lot of business management strategies, ethos of retention, there is a serious play of technology, especially the last mile technology, which is about digital communication. And I'm going to talk about digital communication, how it's been for last 20 years, where are we now, and how are we going to look at digital communications in 2025. So let's look at some of the past story. So around 2000, 2009, mobile and internet both came together on your hand device, and people got excited. And I heard some of the panelists talking about reach through Instagram, Facebook, posting on LinkedIn. At that time, enterprises had reach only through mobile, and SMS and voice and those kind of things were playing out. And I call this as the Hindi cinemas 60s and 70s, like a black and white era of communication. Then we fast forwarded to smartphones and apps, which became like the the colored life, where you had everything in your device. And during my time, when we looked at computer, we called them applications. Later, now we started calling them apps in the mobile phone. That was the only difference. That's how the ecosystem moved fast. And then later, we moved into cloud and OTT, because what happened was during smartphone eruption and so many OTT apps, tons and tons of data started flowing out, right? And I just recently saw that, we generate about 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every day. Now, quintillion is nothing but 18 digits after the number. So it's a huge amount of data. And that data, every brand or a startup or an organization was looking for space and convenience to store that data. That's where cloud as a concept started accelerating and enabled for faster storage of data, access of data, and so on. And then finally, I think IoT has already started coming in. I mean, you know that your gas meters, your electricity meters, your connected cars, those are all your IoT examples, but I think still we are at the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of work on IoT still pending. And of course, AI has also initiated along with it. This was about the mobile ecosystem, generally. Along with that, talking about enterprises or organizations like us, how we evolved along with it. So as I said, voice and SMS came along with the mobile, but omni-channel picked up when smartphones and apps started coming in, which means brands started knowing that, okay, now customers can also read emails on their phones. Why can't we communicate over email? Because your read access time, your response times are going to be faster. So that's how omni-channel came in play, because of the ecosystem also moving towards smartphones and apps. Now, last 2-3 years, we've seen that the bots have come in play. And let me tell you a story around bots is, in every organization, there is a support function. And when you sit for an annual operation plan, the amount of pressure which comes on customer support to reduce cost is huge, right? Because that is always that's not looked at as a profit center, right, for the organization. And why the cost is so high is because so human dependent. Now, bots are trying to change that. For last 2 years, we are seeing that a lot of efficiency improvement and reducing cost, especially around the support function. And finally, conversational AI, which means the bots, along with human agents, over a platform can converse with the customer and not have a generic conversation, but have a more specific, personalized conversation. So these are some of the trends which we got into. Now, let me give you some stats here. So the first one is about 87% household people will have mobile internet by 2025. What will it do? It will bring the third generation of people who are not accessing web apps into mainstream. So these are people who have only used mobile phones for voice, right? Or probably only looked at forwards for WhatsApp. Now they will come into mainstream commerce because the internet access will be so easily available. 1 billion smartphones, we are at about 700 plus kind of. And every year we see that about 173 million smartphones, new smartphones are coming in, which means at that pace we will increase to that level, and of course communication will become more easier. 900 million internet users given. Most important fact is about 120 minutes on an average, and that was more than that during the pandemic. But now if you took a look at overall average, about 2 hours of time spent in WhatsApp, because WhatsApp is the most dominant chat app in your smartphone. For people who are interested in B2B2C, normally I don't get that very quickly. There, if you see, there are about, there are, of course, 5G users, I missed that point. People who are interested in video communication, look out for your 5G users, because the moment they'll start demanding videos, your 5G players will become your target customers. Then, moving to the B2B2C model, the MSME market right now is looking at digital initiatives but not getting enough traction. I think that is an area again where a lot of digital communication requirements will keep erupting. Digital MSME, Digital India story is they want that, the way startups do marketing, why can't MSMEs come on that platform and do that? IoT I just mentioned. Today, for example, if your water purifier conks off, your principal OEM doesn't know that it has conked off unless you reach out to them. IoT will change that game for you. And what it will also do is the amount of traffic which we just spoke and the amount of data got generated will quadruple because of IoT, because it's not only human beings who are interacting, it's the devices who will start interacting, and so the data flow will further increase. And finally, the service sector and the startups. We have about 63,000 right now, and I think that's again going to grow at a very, very faster pace. Moving ahead, so what is it going to do for us? The changing landscape has made the customer journey more complex, isn't it? Like, for example, your customer is so digital savvy that he understands how to reach out to you on Facebook, how to reach out to you on Instagram, how do you surf, what do you find. So what we think is that when that's the moment of truth, right? When somebody searches something on Google, or somebody is trying to search for a product on Facebook or on Instagram, that's the moment of truth where you will be able to connect with your customer. But the complexity is that we don't know where and when we'll find that customer. That's the bigger challenge today across customer journeys. And to back it up is as I said, my session is a little more semi-technical. So that will be like, your complexity of building that stack. Like you find out where your customers are, like we heard many of them talking about it. But then how do you build that communication stack with all the channels, all your service providers, and then solve that complexity? So these are two big challenges. Though the ecosystem is erupting, evolving, but then I think the organizations are not able to cope up at that pace. So what do we do? So before we go ahead, let's also see what customers are saying. And this is something which we keep working with our OEMs like Google, Facebooks, or the telcos to reach out to customer and understand how they perceive communication today. Business related, promotional, anything you call. So emails are there. I'm not saying emails are not there, but emails have become like more of a repository of your important communication. Whereas you want your transactions to happen on those chat apps and the most lively apps which you have in your mobile phone. So this is one change which you are seeing, that okay, you send me an email, but then that's not going to make the cut, right? You want to be actively communicating with your customer, and email as per customers are not that active communication. Second is, if you look at these numbers, most interesting fact is that this is the 67%, 59, 61 is all are revolving around messaging. And what the message is, or rather the message from that survey is that speed, convenience, and ease is coming through chat apps, messaging, and not through email, which we saw in the previous slide. And here we are seeing that only 3% are enjoying voice. Now, I'm not discounting the fact that India being India, there are, if my numbers are right, still about 240 million 2G users. And those 2G users are not going to have access to data, right, on your phone. So they will still rely on voice, probably in vernacular languages or whatever. But then the fact is that the moment we saw that 87% household internet, the smartphone growth and everything, this equations will further change. And that voice traffic will also start sliding towards messaging. Of course, there will be vernacular language barriers and so on and so forth, which is again getting addressed by recent technologies. Moving ahead, I deep dived into why probably the voice users are complaining. And these are very common information which we have, right? So turnaround times are very high, repeat information, you got dropped on the call, you're again starting from zero, and I'm sure everyone has experienced that. Versus on a chat conversation, you stay where you are, you continue your conversation, and you're able to keep a track of it. And most importantly, the customer is in control of that conversation. Whereas in a voice, it's the organization which is in control of that conversation. Moving ahead, so how do we deal with this problem, right? So we just saw there is an ecosystem which is exploding. There is a tremendous amount of opportunity as far as the ecosystem, internet, smartphone, chat apps, and everything is concerned. We also saw that the customers are preferring conversational communication, and we also saw complexities around how do we build it. So just to address a couple of things, there are so many things, but we'll start with communication as a service. Now, this is something which we, along with MarTech partners, are building this as a platform which can help brands to communicate with their customer in every other channel which they prefer. So what is this is all about? So we saw today people talking about consideration, conversions, how do you do retention, advocacy, how do you hold on to the lifetime value of the customer? And for all this, you need a smart communication platform which talks to the customer in their preferred channel. So if I prefer WhatsApp and if I have been bombarded with emails, slowly my perception towards that brand is, okay, I'm getting what I want, but not the way I would have expected or I would have wished, right? So this is what is changing, and this is what is required for an efficient organization to communicate over omnichannel. The second part of it, okay, so it just continues, and it just allows you to attract and inform and engage, and every stage of the customer. Omnichannel is going to help you with different channels. The second part of the solution is, as we were talking about the growing potential of conversation, and conversation is nothing but, from our language, it's about bots and agents coming together. So it's about a bot and a human agent coming together and providing a rich feel and experience to your customers over a conversation app. So in conversation business, there are multiple apps, right? I'm sure you all would have at least tried or seen these apps. So from an India specific purpose, I want to stress upon WhatsApp as a business. Before I deep dive, I just want you to think about, if you have WhatsApp before 2016, when you would have downloaded that WhatsApp, you would have got a message saying that, after 1 year or 3 months, it was different for some different people, you will be charged 55 rupees. Why 55 rupees? Exactly. So that time the dollar price was 55 rupees. All right. And okay, so WhatsApp did that, but they didn't charge. And one of the reasons they didn't charge is what we heard today morning, Lissy explaining that when she wanted to start fintechs and she wanted to get that digital communication, that was not happening in the country. So WhatsApp realized that, how do I collect the money? Because there is no UPI. Just imagine today if WhatsApp would have come and you would have been asked, let's say 75 rupees today for a year, and you have an UPI and you have an auto payment and you have an auto reminder, and I don't know what and all you have on those digital payments, it just goes automatically, and you're paying 75 rupees for a 1 year of subscription on WhatsApp. And we have 490 million subscribers today. Probably would have had half of it with that subscription. Still, it was a big monetization which WhatsApp would have done. That didn't happen. Probably the ecosystem was not there. Probably YouTube was free, Google search was free. So there were many reasons around that. One more part is, now WhatsApp realizes that there are 490 million subscribers, and somewhere around 50 million messages per day are sent on WhatsApp to business entities by consumers, which means there is a commerce activity have started happening on WhatsApp to a large extent. And that's the space where you have to bring your conversational AI, because the adoption is already there. Customers are used to it. They like that. They prefer it. And they spend about 120 minutes a day, which means you have got everything ready just to go there and interact with your customer. Of course, you're not intruding into their space, but wherever you have opt-ins, wherever you have that brand association, you can definitely use that space. The other fact is, the second best app after WhatsApp on a mobile phone is your e-commerce giants, and they are only 1/3 of what WhatsApp is. So you can understand the amount of scale it has grown to. And right now, business communication is the monetization model for WhatsApp, which is very clear message that we as organizations can leverage that to communicate with our customers. And what you need is a bot and a human agent talking on that. So I'll dwell into that a little more. Along with that, if you see, I've mentioned Google Business Messages, which is in early access. So I was talking about the moment of truth. Now, what happens if somebody searches for a book and a bookstore, let's say, and that's where you're able to converse with that customer, rather not waiting for a customer to find the information and reach out to you. That is the advantage of conversation when you have it right at the time of a search, or if you're navigating to a particular location and you have conversational abilities to interact with the customer. That saves a lot of lead time for your business, and so on and so forth. So there are I mentioned about some other chat apps which are globally present, and if you are global, I think you can do a similar kind of thing going forward. Now, so what does conversation allow you? There are multiple things you can do over conversations. Okay, I mean, to be honest with you, you can build your entire app inside the conversation. You don't need a separate app. I was hearing Dunzo the other day for some other event, and I heard that the first, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, 1,000 or 5,000 customers acquired by Dunzo was on WhatsApp. So the entire commerce model was built under WhatsApp, and I'm sure you might be knowing a lot of unorganized sector today generating revenue over WhatsApp. So the commerce can be built under WhatsApp. But here I'm touching upon some important facts. So one is automation, definitely. So you can take away a lot of your human efforts while interacting your customers by automating the conversation. Active communication, because we have seen that we've been passive. Email, SMS, voice are all very passive communication to a great extent. And so conversing over chat apps will become more active communication. The most interestingly, bot will partner agents. I think the most frequently asked question by our enterprises is, if I put a bot, I don't need an agent. No, you need it. The reason is you ordered food and you complained about it. First initial 4 or 5 conversation, you know that there is some machine talking to you. When did you order? What did you order? Why did you order? All that questions will come. Once you are screened, the brand doesn't want to drop you there. It automatically switches you to somebody who then deep dives into it and asks you more questions. I'll give you another example. One of our financial services customers says, okay, we build a fixed deposit information bot, right? So customer comes and says, tell me what is your rate of interest for fixed deposit? You start getting answers. 6%, 10%, this, that. Then automatically the percentages will change because of the period. So the next question comes, what duration? Then comes senior citizen, not senior citizen, all that stuff. So a lot of information gets passed, but then you can't close the customer there on that deal, right? Because as we heard some of our fintech saying, we need trust, right? And this game, fintech and investments is all about trust. That's where your agent will come and play and do that trust fulfillment activity of talking and conversing with your customer. Voice over chat is a very, very interesting concept which I've been witnessing with some of the organizations. Why? Is because in our country there are so many people who can't type in English, and they are consumers, right? At the end of the day, and B tier, C tier, wherever. So there, you send a message in English, and I'm sure you would have experienced that, and somebody is responding to you with a voice message in a vernacular language. Why can't this be a business communication? It can be, and it has been addressed, right? So WhatsApp or any kind of these chat apps are allowing you to send voice messages in response, which is basically interacting with customer at their convenience and ease. So linguistic, of course, you can build different applications for different languages. And finally, you can go beyond FAQs, which I was just saying, you just keep answering regular questions, but you can put an agent bot partnership and then, take it beyond FAQs. So just want to show you that, as I said, this is the growth potential. How do you stay relevant? So let the customer choose your channel, right? I mean, how many of us tell our customer okay, what do you want? Should I contact you over email? Because you've taken email, you've taken phone number, right? You've taken all that. And then you don't want to just keep bombarding everything because you have all the contacts, so you send everywhere. You want to tell the customer that, okay, you prefer, so I go to a shop, I buy something, And I say, okay, I need an invoice on WhatsApp. Okay, that's it. I don't want any other communication. You want my mobile number, whatever, don't send me SMS, don't send me email, nothing. So you give the authority to the customer to choose the channel, integrate your bots and agents to those channels. And once you have that, this is just a, just to tell you that how technically it will look like. So you have a lot of channels, customers coming through different channels. You have a layer of a bot which is sitting and trying to filter it down, like whatever you can do. And then you will be able to pass on or reroute the right communication to your agents. So finally, what do? We get an intelligent conversation platform, and you start ticking all the right boxes from a communication standpoint for your customer, so that there is a seamless experience, right? So when you step into your customer's shoe, and we all are customers, so we would just want that it's about me, it's about my personal preference, it's about my schedule, it's about my time, and that's about it, right? So you want to fit into that by using these technologies and platforms. What do you get? Happy customers, definitely, because today's session is all about retention, right? And we talked a lot about CAC and the cost and all on that. So when you have this kind of an experience, you will see that your repeat buying goes up to 90% with that brand. And you will also claim premium. So 86% say that I'll pay more if I'm able to get that experience. And my final point, where 53% of the customers say that I will buy from a brand, and this is the recent trends, okay, that I'll buy from a brand where I can message them, or I can receive back or converse on messaging. What is it saying? It's saying that when your customers come and search for a product and they land on your website or your app, they start realizing that, okay, this is what I need, and they look out for a WhatsApp number to communicate, message you faster, get information faster, probably do the commercial activity right on that conversation itself. If you don't have that, we've seen a trend that slowly customers have started building a mindset about your reputation of your organization, and that I call as a digital reputation. So you might have a great website, you might have a great app, you have traffic on that, but trust me, you can have 1 million, 5 million, 10 million on that, but you have those same customers, much more than that, about 490 million customers on WhatsApp or any other chat app for that matter globally, who are ready to do the same commercial activity over a chat app which is more convenient. So why is the digital reputation? So 35% of the people are digital by choice, right? So if given a choice, I think now after pandemic, on a lighter note, if given a choice that would you like to participate in a live event or have a virtual event, I think there will be some more numbers than pre-pandemic, right? Because you've tasted that virtual life and you will enjoy it. Why will you travel all the way, come here, Bangalore, traffic, beat, everything, sit at home, attend the event, enjoy that, right? So that choice is now happening, and this is across. This is not only about conversation. 23% have made a lifestyle. My daughter today, she wants to buy something. She doesn't say that, okay, when is Saturday, Sunday, we going out and buying? Because it's in the phone, it's preloaded. You search for it, you buy it, right? So it's a lifestyle. It's not going to change because they are in this generation and they've seen that this can happen because 2 years of their life, in the early stages of their life, that lifestyle has come out. Digital by need, especially in Bangalore, I have seen. You go to a shop and he says only cash. If any Bangaloreans in the house, will give a very stern look to it. What? Because Bangalore is a city where you adopt fintech or any kind of technology or app much faster than anybody. And I've heard so many startups saying, we try it out in Bangalore, it works, we go other cities. Because that's the adoption. So cashless, no way. That means it's a need now, right? You need to have an UPI, otherwise you're not there in the business or any other payment option. And 17% is a very old data now, because I think pandemic has changed this story as well. And there are a lot more who are shifting towards, at least towards the digital by need. So finally, I just want to leave you with this thought. And this is my last slide. So I have saved about 4 minutes. This is like, what I'm trying to say is that if you have a seamless online experience, and if you don't have it today, let's say, you start building towards it. In next 4 to 5 years, you will be able to build that digital reputation, which includes everything. It's not only about conversation, but it includes everything around digital, a seamless experience. And definitely you will be able to build what we started from a digital conversation to a digital reputation. That's it from my side. Thank you so much.